Over the past 3 years, I have fished over 120 documented ponds on video to catch bass. And over that time, I have really dialed in my pond bag back there and the exact rods I feel are necessary for every pond angler to have. So in today's video, we're doing a what's in the bag for me for 2025 as I fish 100 more ponds for bass over the next 2 years. My name is Tyler, and let's talk about it. Another giant, another giant. Look at that, y'all. I can't believe what I just caught. Yes! Well, what's going on, folks? Welcome back to TRF. Now, as y'all know, I fished a lot of places around the country, a matter of fact, around the world for bass, and that has really impacted the way that I see tackle preparation and packing, as well as which rod and reel combos, lengths, powers, and actions I have found are actually best for the average pond angler out there. Again, I am 121 documented ponds, but I fished a whole lot more both before I started the series and during that just couldn't make it on YouTube because the fishing wasn't good enough. So the format of this video is going to be talking about my largemouth evolution bag right here. Again, code TRF 2025 saves you 20% on your entire evolution order, on the bags, on the boxes, on the sling bag, on the newly released ballistics trays that are super cool. Really anything you need tackle storage wise, evolution fishing has you covered. So we're going to talk about this bag right here, which I will have linked down below, the sling bag, and then which rods I find are best for every angler out there. I apologize if the lighting is going to go in and out. It's a partly cloudy day. All right, so this bag right here, I had a hand in designing this thing. I'm super proud of it, and I think it really helps you as an angler pack efficiently, but not bringing too much. So if you think you need more tackle than this for almost the entire year of pond bass fishing, I will challenge you on that. I think this thing can hold basically the max tackle any bass fisherman would need, especially to bring with them. And so I'm going to go over what's in the side compartments. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go the front, then the sides, then the inside. So the front here has three 3600 size boxes, and I didn't pack all three of these as full as I do now early on in the season because especially in colder weather, really no matter where you live, your bait selection is a lot more limited. So it's more finessey, it's more suspending jerk baits and small crankbaits. And so I didn't really have nearly as much tackle in these three. Sometimes I will even bring two with me. But now that it's full-blown fishing season, I have all the tackle that I possibly need in this thing. So I'm going to bring out the first box here, which is going to be, you'll see B-roll here on the screen as I talk about this. It's going to be my kind of hard baits and larger swim baits that don't fit anywhere else in the tackle box. In the top left corner, I have all my suspending jerk baits. I really keep it simple with the KVD 100 and KVD 200. It's a smaller size jerk bait right here and only dives 4 feet max. I really only do natural colors on the jerk baits, but I do throw in the matte shad with a chartreuse bottom for whatever reason. I found, especially for largemouth and smallmouth in ponds, it catches them really dang well. And again, only shallow diving ones because I'm bank fishing. I usually don't have the opportunity to even fish in water deep enough that a deep diving jerk bait is effective for, but if you do, make sure you throw one in your box. I keep jerk baits in here all year round because you never know when you're going to find a cold front situation or a really windy situation, and sometimes the fish just want a suspending jerk bait. On the right side, I have my lipless crankbaits, which usually consist of some red lipless crankbaits, but it is way past the springtime, and I just don't have confidence or experience catching them on red color hues beyond like the early springtime, late wintertime season. And so I just have bluegill and shad variations, two of which right now being the 1/4 ounce red eye shad because I found that it's a better size for pond fishing. Then in the middle, I have all of my favorite pond crankbaits, which are the hybrid hunters and the KVD 1.5 square bills. Again, for most ponds out there, this is going to be, this center tray here is going to be the most applicable one for most of you guys out there. And again, usually I have more red hues than I think just 1 or 2 that I have in here right now. And that simply is because I found that bluegill and shad variations simply get bit more often around the country after the spring than red does. And then on the bottom, I have 3 different swim baits that don't really fit in any other location in the bag, especially because I don't want to kink the tails because then they don't swim right. So I've got a big rage swimmer. I've got my favorite line through swim bait here, a 5-inch Zal Dangerous one, and then I've got a 6-inch mag draft. And the reason for having those 3 in the bottom is again because they don't fit anywhere else. So that's all I need as far as hard baits are concerned for down in the water column. Some jerk baits, some lipless, and a lot of shallow diving crankbaits. All right, so box 1, slide it back in there. We're done. Let's move on to this box here, my Topwater box. Now this one here does not stay in the pond bag. I talked about a second ago, some that I take out for the winter time. Topwater does not stay in. I'll just have 3 boxes down here and not the additional 4th one that you'll see here in a second in the top. But for now, Topwater season is a go all across the country, and so I keep a Topwater box stocked full of stuff, but I don't really need all that many because unless I'm casting around trees like this across the pond, I'm probably not gonna lose many Topwaters. So again, just for the sake of weight, I don't keep many with me. So on the top, I have kind of my more finessey topwaters. I've got one small bitsy dog. It's a Strike King tiny little spook bait. And then I've got a Mach spraying shad 70, the larger size popper that we make at Mach Baits. Then on the right side, I've got two patrollers. I've got the Patroller 90, which is a smaller size, and I've got the Patroller 110, the larger size. Matter of fact, the 110 is missing a treble. I gotta put a new treble on. I probably could add one or two more patrollers, but to be honest, I don't hardly lose them. And after a fishing day, if one gets trashed, I'll just replace it with a new one before the next day. Here in the middle, I've got three different walking baits, two of them being Strike King Sexy Dogs, one in a straight bone color and one in a straight chrome color. I found that in cloudy conditions, the bone gets a bit better, and in super sunny, the chrome gets a bit better. And then one of these here, not a sponsored bait, but I want to try it out. Jacob Wheeler actually had me test this bait for him on the water a long time ago, and I said, you know what, this thing's pretty cool. Who knows how well it's going to work in ponds, but I love that it has the VMC treble hooks on there, and they're not the hybrid finesse treble hooks that VMC currently sells. They are a different one in the Red Line line that they don't actually sell yet. And so honestly, I may just pick up a bunch of these here to get the treble hooks off of them to put on my Sexy Dogs. So that wraps up the hard baits on the topwater category, and then the entire bottom is stocked full of frogs. I've got the Strike King pad perch, I've got the popping pad perch, I've got the Mach frog. That's it. But I've got, I think, 2 or 3 of each, because frogs, I will go through more than one a day if they're really chewing it. And they're also light as a feather. I can bring as many as I want in here. That's why I have the bottom thing fully stocked up. And as far as colors go for topwater frogs, I keep it relatively natural, especially the bottom of the frog is concerned, because that's usually the only thing the bass actually see when they're looking up to eat it. So I've got kind of bluegill and shad variations, as well as 1 or 2 black ones. And again, that box does not stay in my largemouth bag the entire year, just the spring through the fall, but it's in there now. So that is box number 2. And then box number 3, probably the most used one for me in every single pond that I fish, and that is my jigs and vibrating jig box. So I've got Strike King Thunder Crickets in natural colors up here in the top left. I've got Thunder Crickets in shad colors in the middle left, and then black and blue dark variants on the bottom left. Then in the top 2 middle and right compartments, I've got shad variations of Outcast Tackle swim jigs, and then bluegill variations of Outcast Tackle swim jigs. In the total center hatch, I have my prototype jigs from Outcast that y'all can't see yet, but I have a whole bunch in here to continue testing them in both ponds and lakes. And let me tell you, I've been impressed so far. So it's kind of a standard Arky head style jig, I'll tell you all that much. That's in the middle. And then I have the Outcast Tackle Juice jig, and really a good all-around jig for the price over here in the far right middle. And then here in the bottom right, I've got kind of miscellaneous stuff. So I've got a rigged Ned rig ready to go. I've got the Outcast Tackle Cage Fighter jig for skipping, and then I've got a small finesse jig. I probably need to add some kind of finesse football into this bottom side. And then here in the bottom middle, you'll see I have a pink skirt. That goes to change the skirts out in case I want to make a vibrating jig into a pink one. If y'all missed that video, pink versus green pumpkin vibrating jigs, I'll leave it down in the video description. And then I've also got several things that aren't really jigs, but they are jig heads, and that is my underspins. I could keep these in a terminal box. Matter of fact, I probably have a few extras in my terminal tackle box, but they have a swim bait already rigged on them. They're rigged perfectly straight. I like the fact that I can just grab one of these, tie it on, and I'm good to go. And in this center compartment here, the tails are not being all that kinked. So I've got one pink vibrating jig, an extra skirt, and all of my underspins in this box. It is significantly heavier than the rest of them, but it's also chocked full of goodies that honestly I probably can't even go through in an entire year's worth of fishing. So that's the 3 boxes on the bottom. Again, beautiful clip to keep those in place. And I love this bag because it keeps the majority of my boxes, again, the ones with skirts and soft plastics, it keeps them stacked horizontally instead of vertically. I'm just a big fan of that. Now moving on to the side compartment here, this one just contains all of my extra swim baits. And I'm not talking like big swim baits. These are swim baits for trailers, for the backs of spinner baits, for the backs of swim jigs. So I've got some Mach players. I've got the Working Class Zero Micro Citizen. I've got the Swimming Shiner from Strike King. Really all my small swim baits. Maybe I'll throw these on an underspin or a flashy swimmer hook. That goes in this side over here. I honestly don't fish these as much as I should, especially with how good they are in ponds, but that's what's in this side. In this pocket, I just have my spare line in case I get a backlash and I don't have all the rods with me in my truck. I only brought 1 or 2. I want to make sure I have at least the bare necessities of a fishing line to get myself restrained and back on the water. So I've got 15-pound Seaguar Basics fluorocarbon. I've got 20-pound Seaguar Invisex fluorocarbon. So that's for 15 is for general vibrating jigs, crankbaits, small Texas rigs. And in case I'm fishing in like heavy cover, flipping a jig, I've got 20. Then I've got my leader lines. So I've got 8-pound line for super finesse stuff, which I'll talk about that soon. I don't really throw a whole lot of super light line anymore, but especially if I'm gonna go for like bluegill or panfish, I'll use this leader line. There's a reason why the bag is unopened. It's the Seaguar Grand Max, because I haven't used it yet. And then I've got 2 of Seaguar's budget, basically bulletproof leader line. I've got Seaguar Pounce. I've got 12-pound and 15-pound, 12 for most finesse applications and 15 in case I've got really heavy cover that I'm fishing my spinning rod around. But really those 4 lines, 5 if you count the super skinny ones, are all that I need. If I backlash braid extra bad, I should probably keep a spool of braid in here. Now that I think about it, that'd probably be smart. And the reason why I keep the spools of line in this pocket here is because whammy, we've got an actual spool keeper thing, no, line, whatever it is. You feed the line out of this thing into your reels and it keeps it straight. And with that, one more side pocket, and that being the front one. And this is where I keep really just one main lure, and that is my pond skunk buster. It is the caffeine shad. I've got the Strike King caffeine shad in both 4 and 5 inch in here in both bluegill and shad variations. I've also got my scale, because far too many times at ponds the last few years I haven't had a scale. Finally, I got an extra one, and it's here in this pocket. And then I've got some niche swim baits. This one here is the Kayaks Swing Impact in a pink color, again, just in case I throw a pink vibrating jig. And then I've got another tiny swim bait for an underspin over there. So that's kind of my necessities as far as soft plastics go on the outside, but the inside is where it really starts to get fun. So we designed a lot of cool things in this bag to really be able to hold the max soft plastics and swim baits and terminal tackle you could possibly need with the least space possible. So matter of fact, I probably need to bring it up like this so y'all can see it. I've got PVC pockets here that have 2 glide baits, an extra glide bait and a soft glide bait. All my spinner baits and buzz baits, all those are staying here because they're honestly too big for any of the hard plastic boxes here. So if you flip down the hatch here, you see all my swim baits. I've got a ballistics terminal tray that it could also fit underneath here. I could replace all these with the new ballistics ones. They're waterproof, but I've just found that it fits a little bit better up here. So all my terminal tackle, I'll go through here in a second, fits in this slot. And here in the back 2 cubbies, I've got my soft plastic worms and small craws, small trailers, and my bigger creature baits and bigger craws in this side. Those 2 areas really have me covered, along with the stuff on the sides, for most soft plastic usage throughout the entire year. Now, in the winter time, I'll take out some of the craws or larger soft plastics and put in more finesse type stuff. But again, for the summer, this is what I have in my bag, and it's really gonna stay like this in terms of lure selection and soft plastic selection for the rest of the entire year, maybe up till the late fall. I've got some prototype jig heads here in the front pouch, and then all my thump gel here in the back, and then my pair of scissors. I probably should have 3 of these, but I've got one right now, and it sits up top for the easiest access possible. Now, one cool thing, y'all saw that I had a 3600 size tray that slid in right here, but you could actually, by taking this out and by taking all the soft plastics out, you can pop these little dividers in and fit up to 6 3600 size boxes in this entire bag. So I've got 6 here and 3 down there. You can have 9 in the bag at one time. For me, that's way too much. I'd rather have these things popped out. And again, they fit most soft plastic size bags just perfectly. So let's put this down and go over my terminal tackle box. And I'm gonna be honest, it's really not all that stocked. I mean, I've got like 5 to 10 of each hook max, because man, if you're losing that many, man, Texas rig your stuff better. So for me, all these hooks and weights is probably overkill for some of y'all, but it's just perfect for me. Could I add more? Yes, it could fit way more, but you don't need any more. So starting here on the left, we have the VMC Redline Weedless Wacky in 2 different sizes. Then we've got the Finesse Nico hook in the Redline lineup, which I use for my drop shots, again, in 2 different sizes that match vertically. The ones match the ones, the 2s match the 2s. Then I've got all my wide gap hooks, the larger ones on the top being, at least for me, the way VMC makes them, 4/0 being the largest I need in both the heavy duty and the normal. And then I've got heavy duty and normal of 2/0 and 3/0 to fit the smaller size soft plastics like the caffeine shad. And then I've got some shaky heads and stand-up jig heads, and then my shake in the minnow heads and swim bait jig heads over here on the right, made by Outcast Tackle. And then everything on the bottom is kind of niche. So on the bottom left, I've got swim bait hooks that have weights and blades. Then I've got swim bait hooks that just have weights, no blades. Then I've got my flipping hooks with my punch pegs. And then the far right is really just a smorgasbord smorgasbord of hooks. I've got a few treble hooks, I've got a bobber, some panfish hooks, really anything that doesn't fit in the rest of the box goes in here. And again, I choose ballistics as opposed to the regular tackle tray here that comes in the box, because this is the highest facing box and I put it vertical. And so that could, if the bag is open and it starts raining, could get water in there. I just want to make sure my terminal is most protected, and the rust inhibitor technology, and they don't want me to say waterproof, it's water resistant, but I mean, throw this thing in the pond, it's going to float and it's going to keep water out for a long time. So that's the terminal box. Let's go over which soft plastics I have in here for the entire summer travels that I have for all my pond series, and that is going to be Mach craw and Mach sticks. So I've got 2 different bags of Mach craws, 2 bags of Mach sticks, and then I have all of my, what are these? Ochos. I've got 3 packs of Ochos. I've got 3 packs of Strike King filler worms. I've got some Fat Baby finesse worms, and I even have some Ned Rig soft plastic. So anything that kind of resembles a worm or a smaller trailer here, I keep these in this my right side compartment. Again, could I put more in there? I could, but I found that 2 packs of everything is really good for a fishing day. And then this side here, I really just have some larger Strike King scound bugs. I've got mid-size rage bugs. Matter of fact, actually, this goes in that side. What am I doing? But yeah, both mid-size and full-size Strike King rage bugs for trailers and just general Texas rigging. And like I mentioned, I've got spinner baits, soft glide, and a smaller kind of chop glide, and then 2 larger size glide baits right here. And that has me covered for my pond bag. But like I mentioned, I have 1 more bag that I will actually pack for smaller trips where I know what's going on the pond. So if I know what the water clarity is like, how the fish generally behave, or I just want to have to not lug around a big bag like this, which again, as far as bags are concerned, this is not really all that big on the bag spectrum, but it does hold a lot of stuff. It gets heavy pretty quick. So what I'll do is I'll take the largemouth 3600 sling bag, and I will take 2 of my boxes out. Usually I will take my Topwater box, take some Topwaters out, put some jigs in, put some crankbaits in, and then my terminal box as well. So let's say I'm doing that. I got 1 box right here, and let's say I've put some extra lures in this one. I will put my 2 bags in here, zip it up. This top hatch here can fit my scissors, my thumb gel, and I would say 8 bags of soft plastics at a max. That also zips up and has an outside area to hold your pliers and to hold extra little bags of hooks. And then up top here, you have 1 more small compartment, and that can really hold whatever you want. So right now for me, it's holding extra camera equipment that I forgot I even had in there. I was wondering where all my GoPro batteries went. But it could easily hold your scissors, your scale, extra bags of soft plastics. Actually, no, it can't. That cannot hold soft plastics. That is for scissors, scale, and other small, maybe thumb gel in the top thing here. You know, any kind of scent you have. Anything small goes in the top hatch here. And I'll take this, I will sling it over my body. And just like that, I have easy access to just a few boxes and a few lures. Again, I will have both of these in my truck at all times. And if I'm going somewhere, you know, hiking deep into the woods, having to traverse some territory, and I don't want to bring all this with me, I kind of know based on how it looks on Google Earth, how the pond is supposed to fish. I will keep stuff in here. So if you're a smaller pond bag guy yourself, I would highly recommend the sling bag over this one. But if you'd like to carry all your stuff, the 3600 full-size one is a great bag. So with a few more zips, we are done talking about the largemouth pond bag and what I keep in it. Now, because I fully understand now a lot better what pond lures to bring with me, that's also helped me understand what rod combos, at least for me, but I'm gonna kind of project this to bass anglers everywhere, which rod combos are really necessary. So I'm gonna grab the few that are super necessary and then explain why I bring a few more with me in my truck at certain times of the year. All right, the first combo is going to be the Lew's Speed Stick Gen 3 combo. It is a super good combo for the price, has the $99 Lew's Speed Spool and a matching rod with cork handles to it. I love this thing. I get it in a 7-foot medium heavy fast, and really, if you're gonna get one bait caster, I would get this one, especially because I found the tip on this thing, the action is a little bit softer than your average medium heavy, and so I can throw, again, if I'm gonna choose just one bait caster for the majority of fishing scenarios on a pond, I'm gonna choose this one for small jigs, soft plastics, crankbaits, vibrating jigs, spinner baits, smaller topwaters. Matter of fact, I can get a second reel and have braid on this one, and I could even throw a frog on this if I really give them the business. But would I recommend throwing topwater or really heavy duty stuff on this combo? I would not. I've talked about it in several videos before, but I really feel like every angler out there, once they advance in their bass fishing journey, needs a second bait caster rod. And this one here is really the second of 3 that I think are super necessary for me to have anywhere that I go. And that is the Lew's Mach Crush 7.3 Heavy fast. And I will throw all my Topwaters on this, especially the ones in the slop, in the nasty stuff like Topwater frogs. I will adjust my hook set a little bit on ploppers, on buzzbaits, on poppers to just kind of give it more of a lean, because again, if you give them the business on a treble hooked bait on a 7.3 heavy, you're gonna bend the hooks out. But with 50-pound braid on here, I can go super heavy cover flipping. I can make really long casts because again, 50 still has a really thin line diameter. And I've just found this exact combo right here with the full wind grip handle is my favorite for really heavy cover type stuff. So those are the two bait casters I really think are necessary for every angler to have. But one more rod is almost even more crucial than those combined, and that's a finesse combo. My favorite being the Lew's Signature Series rod, 610, medium heavy fast, and I've got on that the Lew's Custom Light Shallow Spool spinning reel, only comes in a size 200. And then I think the braid on here is Seaguar PEX 8 braid, I believe in 22-pound test, which is crazy thin for how thick the pound test should be. And today I've got 15-pound Seaguar Pounce as the leader material to a little Mach stick Nico rig. I was actually fishing with this thing on Caddo Lake the other day. If you haven't seen the video yet, it'll be out soon on the channel, catching some good ones on the Nico. Now, why do I go with a loose combo and then a Mach combo and then a loose combo? Why is there not any good Mach combos for spinning reels? There are. I've just found that I feel really comfortable with this exact rod combo in my hand. And so could I get a Mach jacked or a Mach 2? Yes, and I've used those and they're fine. Matter of fact, I'll put my favorite Mach combo as far as spinning rod is concerned, a more budget-friendly option, down below, because I know this is not a cheap combo. I think the rod is 180 and the reel is 140. But I just really found if you're gonna have a spinning rod, just like if you're really getting involved in any activity, you want to have the best quality for the one that's most important. And for me, to feel the bite on a finesse setup, I have to have a really good combo. And I've just found this one here fits really good in my hand. I love the way the Signature Series rod kind of forms to my hand here as I hold it. And I found that this power and action here, a 610 medium extra fast, is a really good rod for shaky heads, Nico rigs, wacky rigs. Sometimes drop shots, you kind of have to lay off the hook set on them, but it works really well for all three of those. So that is my main three combos. But you've seen on the channel, that's not the only three that I have, because if I'm gonna have more combos, I'm gonna use the 7-foot medium heavy for more of my Texas rigs and bigger vibrating jigs, that kind of stuff. I have one more combo that I love for jerk baits, for crankbaits, for smaller vibrating jigs, for smaller underspins, and that is the Mach Smash 7.2 medium fast. I don't know what it is about this rod, but it absolutely slings a bait out there. Right now I have a worm tied on. I wasn't actually throwing a worm on this. I just need it tied on for another video. And on this reel, I've got 15-pound Seaguar Basics fluorocarbon all year round. So because I can, I have two different bait casters in that worm jig, vibrating jig kind of category. This one though being for my smaller crankbaits, vibrating jigs, smaller spinner baits, and this one being for my Texas rigs and jigs. Now I've got two more rods over here that are really, really niche. Matter of fact, I don't throw them a whole lot, but when I do need them, I'm glad I have them. And that is a second spinning rod, this one here being the Lew's Elite, I know, expensive rod, the 6.9 medium light fast action rod. It is a great rod for super small wacky rigs, super small drop shots. I have here the Strike King Tumbleweed, which is basically a Japanese dice style bait. Anything really small and finessey, small tiny swim baits, shaking the minnow, I will use this exact rod right here. I've got, I believe it's 10-pound, maybe 15 Seaguar Tactics braid to a 10-pound, maybe 12 Seaguar fluorocarbon leader, and I have the leader longer on this one. And the reel on here is the Lew's Custom Light spinning reel, very similar to the Custom Light shallow spool, but again, not a shallow spool. This though being the 100 size, so if I'm gonna do any pan fishing, is this rod and reel combo overkill for pan fishing? Yes, of course it is, but I'll have this one in the truck for super finessey stuff. And of course, in the wintertime, I wanna have two different finesse tactics on at once, so I'll have both of these spinning combos with me. Again, both of them are Lew's combos, not Mach, even though Lew's is in charge of making Mach. We produce Mach. I've just found that the Lew's ones I feel more comfortable in my hands, and they come in higher price points. And the last rod is one that I have actually not used before because I just got sent it from the friends over at Mach, and that is the Mach 1 shallow spool reel, which I have used, but then a BFS style rod. This here is a 6.9 medium light fast action rod. You can throw small jerk baits, tiny top waters, probably some kind of little spinners. And while I myself am not a BFS style fisherman. I do want to get into that kind of fishing a little bit more, especially in the fall when the bass are keying in on very, very small bait fish. And so I have this combo. I'll probably have like 15-pound braided line on it to a small fluorocarbon leader, or I'll just cast like straight 10-pound fluoro. And I'm excited to see what I can catch on Luz's kind of first attempt at making a BFS style of reel. So after 4 years of bank fishing, I feel like these rods are the only ones any bank fisherman would ever need. Matter of fact, only 3 of these being necessities for everybody. And this bag right here with everything I have packed in it is what's in my bag for 2025. Now, hopefully you all enjoyed this video. I will have, as always, all my tackle linked down below. Those are affiliate links, so if you could shop for your tackle using those, it would help this continue to be my full-time job. Code TRF2025 saves you 20% on your entire Evolution Outdoors order. I will have my favorite bags and tackle boxes as well linked down below. If you want to watch my last episode of 200 Ponds, I will have it up here in the corner. And if you want to watch a tackle time video, my brand new series, kind of breaking down different types of tackle, it'll be up here in this corner. My name's Tyler. As always, it's a pleasure. My butt hurts from sitting on this log. So we'll see y'all next time right here on TRF. Ow!